In this lesson, we'll use splines to begin to create the cab of the vehicle. Alright, so the cab on the upper part here is what we're going to create. And to do this, we're going to start by creating kind of a framework. And so the first thing that I want to do is actually add a line right here for this door. That's going to help us. You'll see how that helps us in just a second. But what I want to do is just grab this guy, go under Editable Poly, go to Edge Selection, select that ring, and we'll go ahead and connect and slide this down right next to that, along that line. Mine's about 68 or 69 or so, maybe around 70, to get right on that door. And what that's going to do is give us these edges that we can use. Okay, so we go ahead and grab these edges, 3 of these edges right here, and I'm going to zoom extents to those. And now I'm just going to hold down Shift and drag those down in the Z. Okay, just to create 3 new polygons. I'm going to go ahead and grab those polygons, and let's go to Edit Geometry and detach those. Okay, so we'll go ahead and detach those. So now we've got this geometry. The next thing we're going to do is use a spline to draw out basically this line right in here. And then you can think of a spline, if you haven't used them before, it's kind of like a curve. You've got choices for the vertices. You can make them Bezier give them Bezier handles. You can make them sharp corners. So they're a little bit like curves. And to actually create that, we're going to go to Create. And instead of creating geometry, we're going to create a shape, a spline. And these are the types of splines we can create. We're just going to draw out a line. So I'm going to start the line right here. Go ahead and click. And then I'm going to click and drag to create the smoothness of these vertices, or the smoothness of these the spline. Okay, so I'll go ahead and click and drag. Go ahead and drag that over there. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. We can still come in and tweak that. Now I want to come off the screen, so if I hit I, it's going to move the screen over for me, which is really useful. So I'm going to go ahead and click there, and then I'll click the last one right in there. Right click to end that. Now we go to Modify. We can see we've got a line object here, or shape, and then we can go ahead and select those vertices. You can see right here I've got the vertex itself, and then I've got these green handles, and those are Bezier handles, which you're probably familiar with from other applications. So I can go in and now rotate these around and just make this kind of a nice smooth spline here. Okay, and go ahead and pull that up a bit. Alright, and so you might think that the shape looks good, but if you look from the top, you're going to notice that it's kind of right in the middle. Make sure I get the top view there. So I'll select this line, and I'll just move it over until these endpoints are kind of right where they need to be. And then I'll move the vertices from the top view. So I'll go ahead and move these over. So this one's good. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of rotate this one a little bit and move it over. And then this one I'll kind of move over as well and kind of rotate that. Okay, then we'll kind of just move this one over. So there we go. So you just want to match up this shape from the top as well as from the side. So I'll go ahead and move this one. Give it a little rotation there. Move this one over as well. And we've got a nice guide here that we can look to. So that helps out a lot. And if we look in our perspective, this is what it's basically going to look like. So now we need to actually create the geometry. So I'm going to go ahead and create, grab those polygons that we created and go to a polygon selection. So we've got those selected. And now I want to go down to Edit Polygons, and we want to extrude along spline. So I'll go ahead and open up the settings for that. We have an option for picking the spline, so we'll go ahead and select that button, and this will allow us to actually pick this spline. And you can see that we get some geometry immediately along that spline coming from those polygons. We can up the number of segments, so we can bump those up to something a bit higher. I'm going to just give it enough so that it gets a nice shape there. We can always come in and add more or less, or take some out later. You can also taper this, so if you want it to get wider at the back, okay, you could do that. Okay, you could also twist it if you want to do that. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to say that's okay. Now I don't want all of these polygons. Okay, I only want some of them. So if we look in the side view, you can see that we don't really need these. Okay, so we can go ahead and get rid of those. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just isolate this. So I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to hit Alt-Q, and that's going to enter isolation mode. And then it'll give me this little box, and when I'm ready to exit, I can just hit that button. But it just eliminates everything else from the scene. So I'm going to go ahead and select all these guys down here and just delete those. I'm also going to delete the polygons that we have on the end here. Okay. All right, and now I'll just get rid of these guys. Now if we want to delete these polygons down on the bottom, we can actually convert a line or an edge selection rather. So I'll select one edge, select a loop, and now if I control click on the polygon button here, you can see it selects those polygons on either side of that edge. I can just delete those. Okay. I can come in and delete the rest of these as well. You know, I actually want to delete both of those, so I'm going to do the same thing up here and just do a loop selection, control click, and then delete those. So I just basically have the outer shell of the line there. I'm going to exit isolation mode. Okay, go ahead and zoom in. I don't want to make you sick there. And so what we've got now is kind of a hollow shell for that, which is what I want. I don't need all that thickness right now. But I'm going to use this to actually create some of the other portions of the car. So we can use this to create this kind of sail panel in the back. Okay, down here. We can also use this to actually create the roof of the car. So there are a lot of different ways that we can utilize this now that we have it matched up from our top and our side. Okay, so let's go ahead and in the next lesson come in and look at how we can create this sail panel in the back here by bringing down some geometry and look at how we can do that. So we'll go ahead and do that next.